In a letter to me on the subject of my mother, written in the year after her death, which was also the year before his own, my father wrote of his overwhelming sense of bereavement, and of his wish to have Lúthien inscribed beneath her name on the grave. He returned in that letter to the origin of the tale of Beren and Lúthien, in a small woodland glade filled with hemlock flowers near Roos in Yorkshire, where she danced, and he said, "But the story has gone crooked, and I am left, and I cannot plead before the inexorable Mandos."
Hey there, gang. I'm Danny J.
And I'm Joel N.
And I'm Trevor D.
And together, we are...
Keep on Tolkien.
Get it.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Episode 103, right?
103 episodes in, you guys. And we're actually 3 episodes deep now into our Beren and Lúthien coverage.
That's true.
Yes, and this has been kind of an evolving thing as we go this series on the 3 major tales. And Beren and Lúthien, this first tale, is officially going to be 4 episodes total.
Yes.
So there will be one more Beren and Lúthien episode after this, but stay tuned for that. We're only on the part 3.
Yes, we really wanted to cover these in a way that we felt they deserved to be covered, and honestly, if you guys don't like it, it's really for us, because I wanted to do this for a long time. No, I'm just joking. You're going to love it. Trust us.
And for those who might not remember, so we are currently starting our Great Tales of the Elder Days series, where we're going to cover Beren and Lúthien, the Children of Húrin, and the Fall of Gondolin.
Right.
And these tales are collectively known as the Atanatarian.
Yeah, and I know what you're thinking. Didn't you guys cover those way back in season 1? Yes.
Well, yes.
Yes, we did. But we didn't know what the fuck we were doing then. So... here we are.
We kind of prematurely jumped into our favorite subject, and so we think it'd be about time to give them their due.
Right.
We're at our 100th episode. It's a special time, and they're very special stories.
Yes. And we also, Trevor was part of only one of those episodes. Bullshit.
Yeah. Part 1 of the Children of Húrin, right?
Yes.
Right.
But not part 2.
Right, like it starts getting real good, and I'm getting real sad, and everything's just
Trevor's
nuts.
gotta go.
And then, see it.
Oh, okay.
Well, you're going to get the full sad tale this time around.
Oh,
right?
yeah. You're going to get
I'm
it.
excited.
Oh, hold on to your pants.
But I'm also excited to get into the Beren and Lúthien stuff we're talking about today.
Yes.
We're getting ahead of ourselves. We're
This
getting excited.
is actually, I think, other than going over the lay with you guys, this is the first like actual story version of it that I listened to.
Oh, cool.
Really? Okay.
And it's crazy how much different this one is from the canon version.
Yeah. It's wildly different in some places, and it's we're going to get all up into that.
Yeah, so just to review, this is part 3 of our Beren and Lúthien coverage, and Beren and Lúthien is one of Tolkien's earliest tales that he wrote. Not the earliest, but it is one of the earliest. And it's a story that went through many changes over his time, and in our last 2 episodes, we discussed the canon version of the tale. So that would be the most recent version of the tale that you'd find in the Silmarillion.
The fully baked version of the
fully
tale.
baked, yes, as developed as it gets.
Yes. In this very episode.
Very special episode.
Yes, very, very special. We will be discussing the earliest version of the tale. The very, very first. El Primero, the first.
That's right. So we're jumping from the canon version all the way back to the very beginning version. And this version is... Beren and Lúthien was already like one of the most like fairy tale like of a lot of his stories.
Right, especially the stuff in the Silmarillion, yeah.
Yeah. But like this early version of the tale is even more so, which makes it really fun.
Yeah, it's super cool. Let's talk about the Beren and Lúthien, the book, that just, I would say recently, but it's not all that recently anymore, came out, right?
Right, because this was our major source for this whole Beren and Lúthien series, largely the later episodes, this episode and the next. Because the Beren and Lúthien book covers all of the different versions of the tale, or it touches on them at least, and kind of explains the order of them in which they developed.
It's more of a, if you're familiar with the History of Middle Earth series, it's kind of like that. It's like a history of the tale rather than just a version of, You get bits and pieces of versions, but not, some are incomplete, some are,
Yeah, it's not just like a novel where it's like one
Right.
complete narrative. It's more of like a study of the story.
So if you're expecting that from the Beren and Lúthien book, you're not going to get it. You would want to look in the Silmarillion for that.
Yeah, within Beren and Lúthien, there are some complete versions of the tale, like the one we're about to cover today. Is actually
This one's complete, yeah.
It is actually
Yeah.
a complete
Yeah.
version of the
Hell
tale
yes,
that
it
is
is.
covered in there. So let's first by talking about the different sources that Beren and Lúthien covers.
Right.
So the book discusses the different versions of the tale, Beren and Lúthien, as it is found in 5 different source materials. These are different source materials created over time. So the first source material and the earliest is the Tale of Tinúviel itself, which Tolkien wrote in 1917, and that is
Yeah.
a complete version of the tale.
Complete.
Earliest version and a complete version.
Yeah, and then an incomplete source is The Lay of Lúthien, which is from 1925 to 1931. The full title of this is it the Jest or Guest? We went through this before.
I believe it's the Jest.
The Jest of Beren, son of Berahir, and Lúthien Fey, called Tinúviel, and the Nightingale or the Lay of Lúthien, released from bondage. That is the title.
That is a very long alternative title. Yeah.
How would you even fit that on the cover well?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's like a chapter in itself. Yeah, so that's the second iteration of the Tale of Beren and Lúthien that came to be, was the lay version. And honestly, in my opinion, probably the most quintessential.
Yeah, and that one is in verse, right?
It is a
poem.
exactly. It is a lay. It is a
Yeah,
poem, so it is
yeah.
all in verse. That does make it very lengthy, and a lot of the dial. I have to listen to it in audiobook form in order to understand a lot of it. To be
get
honest,
the cadence of the language.
exactly. Yeah. But it did turn out to be my favorite. One of my favorite forms of the tale. Unfortunately, this version of the tale, the lay, is actually incomplete. The lay was never finished.
Yep.
And from there, we also have the sketch of the mythology, which is also incomplete, written at the year 1926.
Yep. So shortly after the lay was started.
And this one was a 28-page synopsis written to explain the background of the story of Turin to R.W. Reynolds, a friend whom Tolkien had sent several of his stories. Lucky guy.
Yeah. So he's like, here's a little bit of background on some of these stories. So this was sort of an incomplete version of the tale as well, just because of how shortened it was.
Sure.
And then there was the next iteration of the Tale of Beren and Lúthien came from the Quenta Noldorinwa, excuse me.
Noldorinwa,
The
yeah.
Quenta Noldorinwa, written in 1930. And this version of the Tale of Beren and Lúthien that you find here in the Quenta Noldorinwa, Christopher actually goes out of his way to mention that this is actually the only really full, complete version of the tale that Tolkien
himself
wrote and endorsed.
Yeah, because the version we know in the Silmarillion is a lot of Christopher.
Yeah, it's pieced together by Christopher.
So this is the Quenta Noldorinwa is the undiluted Tolkienian version.
More or less, yeah.
J.R.R. Tolkien. They're both Tolkiens.
Yeah.
But yeah, the father's version rather than the son's help.
Yeah, it gets a little confusing with how many different versions there are of these things.
Well, and then that leads us into the last version, which we've mentioned already, the Silmarillion version, which is in the novel that was published in 1977, and that was completed with the help of Christopher.
Right, yes. So just to review, there are 5 different sources of the tale that we'll be covering today. The actual original Tale of Tinúviel, the Lay of Lúthien, the sketch of the mythology, the Quenta Noldorinwa, and the Silmarillion.
Those old Silmarillion.
Those are the 5 sources that the Book of Beren and Lúthien uses to cover the history of this tale and how it develops. So today, let's jump into the very, very first version of this tale, the earliest one, the Tale of Tinúviel, written back in 1917.
Yeah, this section was only 49 pages long, but it is the longest in the book in terms of content.
Right, yeah. So in the Beren and Lúthien book, the amount of the book that covers this tale was probably the longest section. It's 49 pages.
Damn near
the
50
section
pages.
of the book that covers the lay was technically longer in page count, but that's just because of
The formatting.
The format, yeah.
It wasn't as much content. This was the longest for content.
Yeah, Tale of Tinúviel is the earliest version of the story, written in 1917, largely inspired by Tolkien's walks through the woods in Roos, England, with his future wife, Edith.
Yeah, it was a very clear parallel to Beren's first meeting of Lúthien in the woods. Obviously, that story was inspired by him meeting Edith.
Well, that's what was mentioned in that opening excerpt as well.
Exactly, yeah. Tolkien says so himself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in this early version of the tale, we also have some slightly different names. The names that we know
Oh,
of.
wouldn't you know it?
Yeah.
More names to memorize.
Exactly. The names that we know of from the Silmarillion, the canon version.
You know
of
those
the
ones
tale?
that already took you years to memorize?
Yeah, they weren't quite there yet when this story was made. They're
Right.
a little bit different. Some of them are actually cooler, in my opinion.
Yeah, some of them.
Some of the other ones kind of seem like knockoffs.
Yeah. It's funny because it's like it's an etymology evolution that's going on. So they do kind of seem like great value versions. Of the originals.
Yeah, the generic versions of.
A good way to describe it.
Yeah.
Well, let's just review a handful of these. Well, a little more than a handful of these name changes, just so folks are aware going in.
Yeah.
So, in this story, in this version of the tale, King Thingol is actually named King Tinwelint.
Tinwelint. And Melian, his wife, Gwendoling. Gwendoling. Yeah, right?
Yeah, it's like Gwendolyn, but with a G at the end. So Gwendoling.
Gwendoling.
We've also got Beren here, who is known by a completely different name, Egnor the Forester.
Yeah,
Hell
very,
yes.
very different character. We also have, of course, our big baddie, Melkor, who is known as Melko.
Just shortened down to Melko.
Just shortened.
And then we got Sauron. He's Telvildo the cat, right?
Right,
The
yeah.
cat.
A monstrous cat. We'll get into it, but it's fucking
That's probably one of the biggest fairy tale differences, I think.
I do-
The magic-speaking sorcerer cat.
I do love the magic speaking sorcerer cat, but as a cat lover, I do say it's anti-cat propaganda.
It is. Oh,
It
yes.
totally is.
Just a trigger warning for all of our
Trigger
cat
warning
lovers
for
out
cat
there.
lovers.
It is very clear throughout a lot of this that folks in London and England in general don't seem to have very high opinions of cats.
I guess not. I don't know what you people's problem is. I love cats.
Some places they worship cats.
Yeah, it's true.
Clearly not the case where Tolkien is from.
Yeah. I'm glad that Tolkien dropped the anti-cat rhetoric from his canon stories by the time that they were published.
He completely wrote it out.
Yes, yeah.
No evidence.
Maybe he repented. Maybe he met a cat and was like, "Oh,
I get it.
like I get this cat now." I feel like that's kind of how you were, Trev. You didn't like cats at first.
What? No, I've always loved cats.
I thought, but you were reticent to get a cat when your ex wanted to.
Yeah, I just didn't want pets.
Oh, I see. But yeah, you love having cats now. Yeah.
I love my kitty.
So we've also got a mention in this story of the dragon that we normally know as Glaurung, but in this earlier form is called Glorund.
Sure.
Dragon.
That's one of those great value ones.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Glorund,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Well, this one's also kind of great value as well. Karkaroth the Red Maw. He's known as Karkaras with K's, the Knife Fang.
It's spelled Mortal Kombat style.
Yeah.
I kind of think Knife Fang is almost a cooler title than Red Maw. Well,
Yeah,
Red Maw's
Red
pretty
Maw's cool,
fucking
too.
cool, too.
Yeah.
Those are both pretty badass names, I'm not going to lie. A couple places that you might recognize. The land of Hithlum in this earlier version is known as Hisalome.
Yeah. In Doriath, the kingdom of Doriath, the fenced-in magical kingdom, that's how do you say Artanor.
Artanor, yeah. You got it.
Artanor, yeah.
Lastly, we also have Angband, which this one's kind of fun. Angamandi.
Angamandi, it's like the Italian cousin of fucking Angband. I love it.
Angamandi.
Angamandi.
So let's jump in by talking a little bit about some of our characters, mainly our main characters. Let's talk about
the
Tinúviel.
versions of the characters that are in
the
this,
versions
right?
that we get in this early story, because they're slightly tweaked.
different and stuff.
So Tinúviel in this version, rather than being an elf, she's known as her people are known as fairy.
Fairies.
Or hidden elves or elf of the wood. It's a little bit more magical terminology. Tinúviel is, of course, the daughter of King Tinwelint, and her mother is a fae named Gwendoling.
Yeah.
Those names are coming in heavy right now.
Yes, they are.
She's also referred to as daughter of the gods. That's Gwendoling as referred to daughter of the gods, right? Or Tinúviel is referred to.
Tinúviel.
Oh, Tinúviel herself is referred to. Okay,
Yes,
that makes
yes.
sense. I thought that was a formatting error in your outline, Joel.
No, this is all about Tinúviel, my friend.
I see. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, she is known as daughter of the gods. Different.
And Tinúviel also has a brother in this version of the tale, and in this tale, her brother is Daeron. You might recognize Daeron from the later versions of the tale. Where
The minstrel?
The minstrel? Yeah, where he falls in love with her. In this version, he's actually Tinúviel's brother, and they don't
Brother.
they don't fall in love or anything like that. I mean, I'm sure they love each other.
They love each other.
I'm sure they love each other, but not like
This isn't Game of Thrones.
not Game of Thronesy Pornhubby kind of way, you know.
So something cool about Daeron, another interesting note about him in this version of the tale, is that he's actually named as one of the 3 greatest and most magical elf minstrels. And they in this tale specifically names Daeron, Tinfang Warble, and Avare, who sings by the sea. As those are the 3 great minstrels that are named, which I just think are really cool names.
What names?
They're really out there. They're really like Tinfang Warble.
Who's that?
Who the fuck is that? Yeah, that's really cool. Now, Avare, later down the line, changes to Maglor.
Right, who sings by the sea in
Sings
despair.
mournfully by the sea.
Oh, that's a completely different name.
Right.
So some of this still rings true because in the later versions, Daeron is a great minstrel, and so is Maglor. The only thing that doesn't carry through is Tinfang Warble, I guess.
Whoever the fuck that is.
I guess Tolkien decided to scrap that one.
Yeah.
But I love that name, honestly.
So cool.
I want to know his story. How are you? Why Tinfang?
Tinfang Warble. Really, he should have like a comic book.
I know, he sounds like a character, man.
Yeah, that guy's cool. I'd definitely go to First Ave to see Tinfang Warble play.
Tinfang Warble and the somethings. What would his band be called?
The Minstrels.
Tinfang Warble and the Minstrels.
I don't know. But yeah, that seems like something that would play at First Avenue for sure. Who else is in this story but Beren, right? Let's talk about Beren a little bit.
Well, in this version of the tale, Beren actually doesn't get much backstory.
None.
Other than, like, he came over the bitter hills, and that it might have been because of his love of wandering that brought him to the Iron Mountains and Artenor.
No motive whatsoever.
No, he was just wandering around, I guess.
Yeah.
He's just traveling. I mean, that's what hobbits do, but he's not a hobbit.
Right. And Beren is actually, in this version, identified as a gnome with a G, right? Gnome, which me and Trevor were discussing this the other day. Obviously, now, in our time, we think of garden gnomes when you use this word, right?
The little red hat.
Which I think is why he ditched it. But it actually the word gnome actually comes from from the Greek word for knowledge. I think it's like gnosis or gnosis, right? Something like that.
You look at me like I know. I don't.
I'm not looking at you.
I don't know.
It's GNO, right?
Right.
So
absolutely.
that means knowledge. So these are the Noldor are the deep elves, right? Which also means denotes knowledge, right? So it fits, but it's got a goofy connotation today.
Yeah, where they're called gnomes in these early versions. Eventually, down the line, Tolkien would change that to be not gnomes, but the Noldor.
The Noldor, yeah, the deep elves, right?
Mm-hmm. Or in this tale, they're also called elves of the shadows.
Yeah, Beren, he was a kindred of the gnomes of Eriador. And those gnomes up there, they're known to mingle with men a lot, apparently.
Yeah, they're friends with men, which is kind of a unique thing.
Yeah, I guess.
In this version, Beren's father actually goes by Aegnor, the Forester.
Yeah, his father is a forester instead of being like a military leader. Interesting changes. So in this version of the story, when Beren makes his way south into Artenor, he comes across Tinúviel dancing in the woods. And this is when Beren becomes completely enamored by Tinúviel's beautiful dancing and confronts her to ask if he could also learn how to dance like she does.
Yo, I'd like to learn those moves.
Got some sick moves. And so this is when she sort of does a very fairy tale-like thing, and she starts dancing and flittering away, and is like, follow me, and he's like, oh, okay, and she unwittingly brings him right to the king, and she declares that Beren here wishes to learn how to dance. Versus, like in the original tale, when she brings him forward to her father and is like, we want to get married. Yeah. It's a little bit different here.
yeah.
He just wants to learn how to dance.
Yeah, I guess.
It's an interesting way to start it.
Yeah.
Teach me. Let me show you my father.
In response, King, I always fuck up this word, Tinwintel, right?
Tinwillant.
God damn. Tinwillant. King Tinwillant gives Beren the impossible task of retrieving a Silmaril from the crown of Melko. Sounds familiar, right?
Sounds familiar. Yep, that's one of the story points that carries over.
And so in this version, Beren travels straight to the Iron Mountains and is accidentally captured by orcs.
Always,
yeah. And then he's immediately brought before Melko. Here you go.
Yeah, right off the bat.
Straight up.
That's sort of like the ending story climax at the end of the tale that we know.
They go right into it. Yeah.
Yeah, in this version, he goes straight there. and fails.
Yeah.
And gets captured.
Go straight to jail. Don't go past go.
Yep, nope.
Do not collect $200.
Do not collect $200.
Yeah. Melko, he becomes furious when he finds out that Beren is actually a gnome from Eriador. And remember, those are the ones that mingled with men.
Gross.
Yuck.
Yeah, Melkor, it's really well known that Melkor hates the friendship between men and elves, and he's constantly seeking to ruin that friendship.
Right. What a dick. In response, Beren claims that he doesn't befriend men and that he has left Eriador to get away from them.
Yeah,
Get away from the men.
Stupid men. Silly-ass
Stupid.
men. Yeah, I
can't
came out
deal
here.
with them.
Those assholes.
Yeah. I'm going away. Beren also claims that his father used to tell him the tales of Melko's splendor. He's really trying to lay it on thick and like butter him up here.
Oh, yeah.
Please, sir, don't kill me.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, well, he's kind of in a rough spot.
So, yeah, he says he wishes to serve Melko in any way. He means any way.
Oh boy. Yeah, I don't like that.
I'll do anything.
I'll do anything.
anything.
And Beren boasted to Melko that he's a great trapper of small animals. So he sentences him to be thrall under none other than Tevildo.
Yeah.
Tevildo, Prince of Cats. Yeah, let's talk about Tevildo for a minute here, because this is probably one of the most fun characters from this story.
What a different name this one is, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's you would never expect this was Sauron.
Yeah. Tevildo. It's Sauron, Prince of Cats.
Yeah.
Totally. He's the mightiest of all cats, of course. And it is said that he is possessed by an evil sprite. Cool.
Spooky.
And all cats are actually subject to him. They answer.
Oh, wow.
They all answer to Tevildo.
Grandmaster.
Prince
of
Tevildo.
Because, and get this, all right, cat people, hold on. There is great hatred between all elves and the race of cats. Where is this coming from, Tolkien?
It's because they all serve Tevildo. But I mean, he's clearly framing out.
Oh, all cats do?
All cats.
All cats.
Is pretty evil. Like you're going to see in a little bit when we get to dogs. We find out there's actually good dogs and bad dogs, good boys, bad boys.
That's true.
But with cats,
they all sided with.
I guess they're all evil. I
They're
don't know.
all bad.
Oh.
Well, Tevildo himself. Let's get a little description of him as a cat. What kind of cat is he? So he's enormous. He's got coal black fur. His eyes are described as, quote, long, narrow, and slanted, and they gleam both red and green. He's
like
got
a traffic light.
a traffic light. Yeah. And his whiskers, they're gray, stout, and it said that they're sharp like needles.
Cool.
Needle whiskers.
Oh, that sucks. Like a porcupine.
Yeah, it's just very not friendly descriptions of cats here.
You don't want Tevildo rubbing up against you. Like,
Yeah, his purr was like the roll of drums, right? And his growl was like that of thunder.
damn, that's a loud cat.
He is a loud cat.
Mhm.
It said that he was, quote, evil to look upon.
He sounds pretty evil so far.
I don't like looking at that cat. He's fucking evil to look upon.
And it's even said that small beasts and birds, they would freeze or fall to the ground whenever Tevildo would yell or yelp or scream, like cats do. Like their screeches.
Yeah, Tevildo did not like Beren from the start because he smelled of dogs. Beren's people love dogs, and they had many around. Yeah, they're hunters, right? So,
Yeah. So naturally, disliking Beren, Tevildo puts him to sort of an unfair test.
He tells Beren to catch 3 mice, claiming that his hall was infested with them, which of course was false.
Yeah, I mean, with that many fucking cats around, you think there's a mouse?
Hell no.
You kidding me?
Everyone's eating good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, Beren obviously failed this task, and Tevildo was angry and scornful.
But because of Melko's command to have Beren employed, Beren did not end up getting punished because he couldn't really just go around beating the shit out of and killing somebody that Melko wants you to use. You know? Gotta please upper management.
It's kind of like in the Gollum game, right, Trevor? When you find out that you're on a list when you're a slave in
Oh my
Mordor.
god, yeah.
Oh my god.
You're on a list.
Yeah, and they can't like beat you or whatever because you're on a special list.
The master wants you.
Yeah. Well, Beren, he actually, speaking of slavery, he lived under Tevildo as a slave, and he got little sleep because slaves often don't. Yeah, he became haggard and unkempt as one would.
Yeah, things are not looking so great for Beren right now. But meanwhile, back in Tinúviel, Tinúviel sorely misses Beren, and she realized that she had actually fallen in love with him, and his love for her dancing.
Convenient.
I guess she kind of missed the voyeur part of the relationship.
I like it when that dude watches.
And she was worried that Beren would be killed by the king's impossible task to go get a Silmaril. So anxious to know how he was doing, Tinúviel went to go see her mother, Gwendolen, and she asked her mother if she could use her magic to find out if Beren was all right.
Yeah, Gwendolen, she informed Tinúviel that Beren was captured and forced to work as a thrall under Tevildo, the Prince of Cats.
Distraught by the news of Beren's capture, Tinúviel went to her father, of course, King Tenwelland, and asked that he help Beren. But he's like, fuck no.
Of course not.
No way.
No way.
Tinwelland doesn't like that asshole.
Fuck that guy. Yeah. Upset, of course, Tinúviel went to her brother Daeron and asked for his help. But he also refused to help because he resented Beren for ruining their play together. He's basically like, she's my sister and you took her away.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. He used to go, he'd go do the music and she'd do the dancing, and that was like their thing. And I guess Beren threw a wrench into that for him, and he was upset.
Yeah.
And furthermore, Daeron actually went and informed the king of Tinúviel's intent to still try and go save Beren. And the king was just kind of blown away by that, and he confronted Tinúviel and asked her to promise that she will not try to go save Beren. But when she refuses, obviously, the king was both angry and just afraid to lose her. So he does something kind of weird.
Little bit strange. Locks her in a treehouse. That's a 100% normal reaction.
Yeah, totally normal.
Yeah.
I'm just going to isolate you for a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know how many times.
You'll forget about this in 100 years.
It said that he would have locked her in a dungeon, but he didn't want to deprive her of daylight, so instead he locked her up in a tree.
In a treehouse, right.
So considerate. So much better.
Sky dungeon.
Yeah,
Sky dungeon.
I often lock the kids in the treehouse as well.
Yeah,
I understand.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah. So yeah, locked in this treehouse, this prison, this arboreal prison, Tinúviel decides she's going to devise a plan to escape.
Yeah, but it's not easy. This tree is the tallest in the forest. It's actually named Hirelorn, Queen of Trees. So she's going to need to do something pretty crazy in order to get this off.
A tree with a title.
Yeah, Queen of Trees.
Yeah.
So she's got to figure something out. So she requests her guards bring her a spinning wheel to pass the time. And she also requests 2 other items with very specific instructions.
She requests the clearest water from the stream below, drawn at midnight in a silver bowl, and brought to her with no words spoken.
Don't speak to me while you do it, I swear.
Swear to God, you're going to fucking ruin it.
Just go do it.
And the second thing she asked for, she requests quote, wine borne hither in a flagon of gold at noon, and he who brings it must come singing.
Like when you go to the restaurant and it's your birthday and they force
exactly.
They force those poor minimum wage employees to sing for your entertainment.
Yeah, you better bring this wine singing, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And so when she was alone, she actually she takes both of these bowls.
Oh, I love this.
And she placed her hair in the golden bowl of wine, and she sings a song of growth. Then she placed her hair in the silver bowl of water and sang a song naming all the longest things on earth. And then lastly, she mixed the two and placed her hair in and sang a song of sleep.
That's proper spellcasting.
Yes.
Like going through all the steps. Like even the steps to get the bowls to her were steps of the spell, it seems like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's playing D&D on like hard mode where you have to... Remember you never made us gather like, like...
You need the materials and stuff to cast your spells, yeah.
Yeah,
you didn't actually require us to like do the hand motions necessarily and like get the correct... Yeah, you were gracious to us.
No, but you still did. We got detect magic and and the other some
we
gestures.
made our own hand motions.
We used to have absurd hand motions for spell casting in our group.
Well, for this spell, we actually have a good description of it, coming straight from the Tale of Tinúviel in an excerpt read by Joel.
Now Tinúviel took the wine and water when she was alone, and singing a very magic song the while, she mingled them together, and as they lay in the bowl of gold, she sang a song of growth, and as they lay in the bowl of silver, she sang another song, and the names of all the longest and tallest things upon earth were set in that song. The beards of the Indrivangs, the tail of Carcaras, the body of Glorund, the bowl of Hirelorn, and the sword of Nan she named, nor did she forget the chain Angainu that Aule and Tulkas made for the neck of Gillim the giant, And last and longest of all, she spake of the hair of Uinen, the lady of the sea that is spread through all the waters. Then did she lave her head with the mingled water and wine, and as she did so, she sang a third song, a song of uttermost sleep. And the hair of Tinúviel, which was dark and finer than the most delicate threads of twilight, began suddenly to grow very fast indeed. And after 12 hours had passed, it nigh filled the little room. And then Tinúviel was very pleased, and she lay down to rest. And when she awoke, the room was full as with a black mist, and she was deep hidden under it. And lo, her hair was trailing out of the windows and blowing about the tree boles in the morning.
Super friggin' cool. Love it.
Her hair grows super fast
Very magical.
Mm-hmm.
and just waves like dust over everything. That's a really cool image.
Yeah, I tried to picture that like a tree house, like with like black hair like trailing out and blowing in the wind.
Oh my god, is it Sadako? If anybody knows.
I don't know. What's Sadako?
Sadako. You seen the Grudge?
No.
Or it's one of those like the Japanese horror undead girls with the wet hair. Like,
I know this. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't know that was the name. Yes.
Yeah, in particular, one of them is called Sadako.
Gotcha.
Anyway.
So after all of her growth, Tinúviel cut her hair and wove it into a misty black robe that gave off a magical sleep-inducing aura. And this is something that she does in the canon version too.
Indeed. She also takes the remaining hair and makes a rope, which in my neighborhood in the 90s we call the rat tail. Remember
The rat thing.
the rat tail?
Yes.
Oh my god,
It's coming back,
I had one of those as a kid.
Did you have a rat tail?
I did, yeah.
Epic, dude. I'm fucking.
No
I
way.
love it. I love it. That's great.
I want pictures.
Yeah. Call Virginia and see if she has any pictures of Trevor's sweet rat tail from back in the day.
So this rope that she created, she dangled it out the window right above the heads of the guards below, and she used the rope's sleep-inducing magic to put the guards to sleep.
I really love that she does it with a rope.
Yeah.
It's not just like random like magic or something. It's like the fucking rope is magic.
The sleepy rope.
What if it wasn't even a magic rope? She just choked him out with it.
I was actually thinking
Were you thinking that? She just garrots him with the fucking just
Like throw a rock to distract one
Yeah,
of them
and then
far
choke
away,
him out.
lower the noose over the other one.
yeah, just down to the ground. Yep. Yep.
it's probably how it was originally written. Let's be honest.
Right. Yeah.
She just strangled everybody with the rope on her
Yeah.
way out.
Well, after she strangled everyone to death with the rope that she made from her own hair,
Sick.
she went and made her escape and headed. She escaped her treehouse and she headed northwestward.
Yeah, while journeying through the wild, Tinúviel happened upon a great hound laying in the woods. This, of course, Huon, captain of dogs. But who else?
Does this automatically imply that dogs are a military-based creature?
They're paramilitary. Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
you could look at it that way.
They have paramilitary ranks, yes.
Captain.
Well,
Captain
let's-
Dog.
Admiral of dogs. I don't know. That's the Navy. I don't know. I don't know anything about the war machine.
Well, let's take a minute to talk about Captain Huon and the good dogs, because there are good and bad dogs.
Yes, of course.
So in the world, Tevildo had really only one trouble that bothered him, and that was the kindred of dogs.
Of course.
Specifically, Huon. He didn't really fear many of the other dogs. He truly only feared Huon. And Huon is, of course, like we said, the captain of dogs.
That's his rank.
Specifically of the dogs that oppose Melko.
Right.
Yeah, not all dogs, just the good boys.
Yeah, the good boys. And these are the ones that chose to live with men and guard them from evil.
Yeah, so they're, man's best friend.
Yeah, others also chose to roam around the woods of Hisalome and Artenor. That's Hithlum and Doriath, respectively, right?
Yep.
And the lands to the south.
Yeah, so there were some that hung out with people and guarded them, and then there were some that just kind of roamed the wild, and they just kind of killed any of Melko's servants as they found him.
Sick.
Kind of nice.
Why not?
At one point, Huon almost got to Vildo. Actually, and he got a bite of his fur.
Took a chunk out of him.
Got
Took a
a
chunk of fur.
little prize with him.
So close.
And Tevildo, of course, has forever hated Huon for this.
Oh, yeah.
Just sitting in his tower, cursing him.
Hurt his pride.
This reminds me of, I just watched with the kids the other day, a movie, Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Oh, that's such a great
Yeah,
one.
I fucking love that movie when he gets his tail shot off and the farmer's wearing it as a,
It's a necktie.
as a necktie. It gets all gross at the end. By the end of the movie, it's
really
all like
gross.
nasty.
That is a really good movie.
Yeah, fantastic. Wes Anderson, right? Yeah. hell
Yeah, yeah. Well, all in all, it's very lucky that Tinúviel happened to just come across Huan in the wild, because Huan is a good boy. He recognized her. They kind of touched base on where Tinúviel was going and what she was trying to do, and Huan, being the good boy that he is, he contrived a plan to try and overtake Tevildo and save Beren.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, he's just all down. He's like, oh, you're going to Tevildo's place? Oh, sure, yeah, let's fuck him up.
I hate that guy. Let's fuck him up.
Yeah, and his plan was to have Tinúviel go tell Tevildo that Huan was lying sick in the woods to try to trick him.
He's got really bad diarrhea. I think he's sick.
I think he's pooping all over the place. You better go put him out of his misery.
Yeah.
So when Tinúviel actually does go to Tevildo's daytime home, where he suns during the day, she goes to confront him, but she first comes across a lone cat that is asleep on the terrace. And this is Tevildo's door cat.
Of course.
Yeah. And his name is Umuyan, and he has yellow eyes. And Tinúviel wakes him up and states that she needs to speak with Tevildo. And this cat is not terribly interested in her at first, but ultimately he agrees to help and tosses her on his back and jumps up a level onto the next terrace above, where Tevildo is napping.
That'd be cool. Imagine if you didn't have to walk upstairs, you could just ride on a cat.
How big are these cats supposed to be? If she's like riding them,
they're big cats. They're big cats.
I mean, I know we said she was a fairy earlier on, but like I didn't think in stature.
No, definitely not.
No, they're big cats. She's not little.
Oh yeah, yeah, I love it. We're not really sure the relative size.
Well, Tevildo, of course, as a cat, would be very upset that he was awoken. But Lúthien, had alluded to him that she had news of Huan. So, all right, he's like, fine, I'm more interested in this, and he agrees to take her to a more private place to talk. Mm-hmm. Tell me about your dog.
So this is when something a little scary happens. So Tevildo wants to go place more quiet to talk. So he has his door cat Umuyan carry Tinúviel to the next location. However, Umuyan becomes very, very tired due to Tinúviel's magic cloak that happens to be like rubbing up against him while she's riding on his back. And Umuyan stopped before they reached the gates of Tevildo's home and ends up falling asleep. He's too sleepy. He didn't understand what was going on. He's like, I just got to lay down.
I gotta catch some Z's.
And Tevildo is so infuriated by this that he actually commands his other cats to tie up Umuyan and just throw him off the cliff on the north side of the residence because, quote, he is of no use to me anymore, for age has robbed him of his sureness of foot.
That's like when you like if you go camping and you hate your friend and they're on a like an air mattress, and say they're real drunk, like they're passed out, right?
Sure.
You just go shove the air mattress on the river, and then there's somebody else's problem from then on.
Yeah, in this case, Tevildo just decides to kill him. Just, throw him off the cliff. No more use for this guy. I guess he's too old.
There's no in between. He's just straight to evil. Mm-hmm. Doing an immediately evil thing. Yeah. And I don't know, man. You think Tinúviel felt bad about that?
She was mortified that someone was going to figure out what was going on, but nobody did. He just ends up killing that fucking cat. Like, I mean, it's an evil cat, but I mean, it's not really the cat's fault in this scenario, which makes it kind of sad. Yeah. Tevildo's evil as fuck.
So Tevildo, he had Tinúviel brought to a chamber within, where he was accustomed to meet with his greatest thanes. And Tinúviel looked out the window into the kitchen, where she saw Beren stooped over a fire.
She sees him. She knows where he is now.
But then, Tevildo walks in, and Tinúviel began to talk to Tevildo very loudly, hoping that Beren would hear her. She wants to get his attention. Make sure he knows, like, hey, I'm here. I came for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, then Beren can be heard dropping a bunch of dishes in the kitchen, which I think is his signal to be like, yeah, got that.
I'm going to get punished for this, but...
Yeah, she's like, oh, I can tell he heard me. But Tinúviel proceeds to go ahead with the plan that her and Huan had come up with, and she lies to Tevildo, telling him that she had come across Huan lying sick in the woods nearby. And she said that when she approached Huan, he snarled and tried to bite her. So she claims because of this that she doesn't like Huan, and she thinks, Tevildo should just go capture him while he's vulnerable and get rid of this nasty-ass dog because he's so mean.
Seems a little easy, though, right? Like,
yeah,
convenient?
It's true, but I mean, Tevildo, he did believe this lie because Tevildo actually had a tendency to believe things that he wishes were true. It's kind of his...
like a flat earther.
Right.
I guess so. I guess that's the way to look at
I
it.
want it to be flat. Yeah.
So it is.
So I've made it so within my own mind. Yeah.
Yeah, so he wanted to believe it, so he went with it.
Hold on, I just can't believe we lost all those listeners. The flat Earth listeners. I'm sorry, guys.
Can't believe we
Come
just
back.
lost all of them. Oh, I'm so sorry.
If you're listening to this podcast and you are also a flat earther, I guess we don't want to offend you or anything, but I think you should rethink your position.
You should fly in an airplane sometime.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Or a helicopter. Yeah, better yet, a hot air balloon.
Pretty much anywhere where you get high enough you can see the curvature.
Right. Yeah. Or look at the moon during an eclipse.
Oh, there you go.
There you
That's
go.
a good one.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, moving.
There's your basic science information.
Outside of debunking the world's spherical shape.
We just debunked flat Earth. There we go.
What that was like a minute?
Yeah.
Solved that problem in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
At least Tolkien's world used to be flat.
Yeah.
It did literally, yeah.
It did, and then they changed it halfway through the Second Age.
That was one of the most wild things to me,
Yeah,
because when we
yeah.
were reading this, I think that was right around the time I had started hearing about flat Earth theory for the first time.
Well, it's gained some momentum in our lifetimes. Yes.
Right, and then learning about this, a world where it actually was flat and then was round, like
Which is pretty funny.
pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And nobody questioned it when it happened, so
Yeah.
Yeah, no, everyone
Nobody in
just
Middle
kinda-
Earth cared.
Nobody in Middle Earth gave a shit. Apparently, everyone just kind of rolled with it, like, all right.
Whatever.
Anyway, sorry, guys. Moving forward with Tevildo the cat. So when Tevildo questioned Lúthien about where she saw Huan, she only gave vague answers as per the plan. So Tevildo decided to have Tinúviel show him exactly where Huan had supposedly been lying sick. Everything's going to plan. This is what we want. But Tevildo, he also summons two of his cat thanes to join them. One goes unnamed, but the other cat thane is named Oikoroi, which might actually be my favorite cat name in this story.
Oikoroi.
Oikoroi.
I think that's one of my favorite names of all the characters in the stories.
Yeah?
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, Oikoroi was apparently, quote, a fierce and warlike cat.
Do you think he goes by Roy for short?
Roy.
Probably just goes by Oik.
Maybe he goes by Oik. Kind of a lame name, but anyway.
So Tinúviel guided all three cats to the dale where Huan had previously agreed to be lying waiting.
Playing sick.
And Tevildo climbs a tree to try to spot Huan from a distance, which, that's a pretty smart thing to
It's
do.
actually a good idea.
Get the high ground.
I have the high ground, Anakin.
Don't try it.
If only you would have listened.
my power.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry. I love that shit so much. Anyway,
funny.
so once Tevildo saw Huan lying there moaning in pain, he actually became very excited, and he and his two cat thanes moved forward quietly to try and flank Huan by and take him by surprise.
But Huan leapt into the air and bit Oikoroi on the back of the neck, killed him right there. Dead cat.
The other cat's like, fuck no, and runs up a tree. Just gets out of there.
Then all that's left is Huan and Tevildo, and they had a hell of a fight that ended with Huan pinning Tevildo down to the ground once again by the neck. Huan's got this neck move. He's got it down.
Mm-hmm. They go straight for the throat. Tevildo, but he ended up scratching Huan's eye also. That caused him to yelp in pain. Not cool. So he's giving some as well as getting some, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And this gave Tevildo just enough chance to wrench free and run up a tree as well, just like his other cat thane.
And everybody knows dogs can't climb trees, so...
Right.
So from here, Huan just kind of taunts Tevildo up in that tree and tells him that Tevildo can stay there and bleed out, or he can tell Huan where both Lúthien and Beren are, and then presumably Huan would let him down and let him go, I guess. So Tevildo, he begrudgingly tells Huan that Tinúviel is hiding nearby in a bush and says that Beren is likely being, quote, soundly scratched by Miaule, the cat cook, because of Beren's earlier mishandling of those dishes.
I love
That's right, you guys.
Meowle.
Meowle.
Yes,
The cat.
and it is actually spelled exactly like Aule, just with me at the beginning, with an M-I. It's Miaule. Very creative name. That one actually when I saw that, I actually had to do a double take, and I kind of laughed a little bit.
That's pretty
I was like,
funny.
a lot of these names, Oikoroi and things like Oi Amuyan, like these are some pretty adventurous names. Then we just got Miaule.
Meowle. I love it though.
Tolkien thought he could be funny.
Maybe, I mean, maybe.
It's his one pun.
It's a good one.
The entire Legendarium is one pun.
And he cuts it.
Yeah.
He fucking cuts
fucking
it.
kills it, man. Huan actually demanded that they be returned to him safely and that he will let Tevildo go, right? Just straight up.
So Tevildo suggests letting his remaining cat Thane go back to the castle to go retrieve Beren and bring him back to where they were in the woods.
Yeah.
But of course, secretly, Tevildo knows that this cat Thane won't actually go get Beren. He'll probably just go get help and come back with more cats.
But Huon sees through his plan. And, he instead he demands that Tevildo give Lúthien his golden collar so that the other cats will know that Tevildo's been beaten, that he has to stand down. And she will bring back Beren.
Yeah.
Pretty cool plan.
Of course, Tevildo would have a golden collar.
Of course.
Huan, he then demanded that Tevildo also reveal the spell that he used to hold the stones of the castle together and to control all of the cats.
Yeah, because apparently those are one and the same.
I guess.
So Tevildo gives up his spell, and Tinúviel goes back to the castle with the spell and that collar. And she speaks the spell, and the castle shakes, and all the cats within it come out, and they are now apparently, quote, puny in size, and they all ran off when they saw Tinúviel waving Tevildo's golden collar there. They're like, oh shit, we're all fucked.
So they were all beefed up on magic.
Yes, they were beefed up on magic.
They're
They are
great size,
smaller
yeah.
normally, apparently.
Yeah. I assume that
Which
there's...
is also makes it almost funnier because they're not normal big cats. They're like house cats.
They're, felis
sized
catus.
up.
Yeah.
To like, I don't.
Yeah.
They're not shrunk. What's the opposite of shrunk? Giantized.
Blown up. Blown up, yeah.
Yeah. They're house cats blown up to be large
Yeah.
cat size. So imagine that would be almost a little funny looking.
Yeah,
I mean,
it would.
I think of it like the giant spiders versus the normal spiders. Just way furrier.
Way furrier. Pointy whiskers too, apparently.
Yeah, like a porcupine.
Like a porcupine.
So, Tinúviel. So she also, while she's here, demands that all of the prisoners be set free, but the only prisoners that come out there were only two. There was Beren, and then there was one other very old elf named Gimli. And in this tale, Gimli is, not a dwarf, but he's a very old gnome who was blind and bent from years of slavery. But it is said in the story that his hearing was apparently, quote, the keenest in the world.
They also called him Daredevil.
Yeah. He's got straight echolocation.
Apparently he rehomed to Hell's Kitchen after the fall, after he was released from his slavery. So
Gimli of Hell's Kitchen.
Gimli of Hell's Kitchen. I thought that was really cool to see the name Gimli used here. I had no idea.
Interesting. Yeah. Very interesting. Beren, he was not as bad off as Gimli was, but he was noticeably haggard, having lost much weight. He was also, I love this, he was also carrying a kitchen knife for defense, just in case any remaining cats tried to capture him and throw him back into slavery.
Clearly a little traumatized.
Yeah, I love that. That's like the scary movie weapon, just the kitchen knife, right?
Perhaps that scratching by Meowle really got to him.
Yeah.
Well, Huon let Tevildo free after this, but he keeps the collar, and he actually wore it himself.
Sick.
Which is...
kind of a trophy.
Yeah, what a great trophy. But when Melko found out, he was furious, and he cursed Tevildo and all his kind.
We got a fun excerpt about this here from the Tale of Tinúviel, read by Danny.
Indeed, afterward Melko heard all, and he cursed Tevildo and his folk, and banished them. Nor have they since that day had any lord, or master, or any friend. And their voices wail and screech, for their hearts are very lonely and bitter and full of loss. Yet there is only darkness therein, and no kindliness.
Yeah, so when I see this excerpt, I think about how a lot of the things that Tolkien does in his storytelling are sort of like fairy tale ways of telling about how things come to be the way they are in our world, which this sort of seems to me like that. Like he's saying this is how cats came to
Into
be
their diminished status.
wailing, screeching, heartless creatures that are bitter and full of loss. Like that, I guess that's sort of how I'm interpreting this. Like this is how Tolkien sees cats, and it's just.
Did he really not like cats?
I don't know. I guess this is where I'm starting to pick that up from, and I was like, does he not like cats? They must not think very highly of cats over there.
I don't know, dude.
Considering they're all evil. I mean, all wolves are evil too, but there's some good and bad dogs. Why the cats, man?
There's only darkness therein and no kindliness.
All cats want to do is cuddle with us,
Yeah.
lay in the sun, and eat the things that eat our food.
Literally, yeah.
That's what they want to do. They
Our
want
cats just want to cuddle and eat food and sometimes go outside.
Yeah, the cat, literally, this is how our relationship with the cat started. We're like, hey, the cat just comes up one day, hey, want me to protect your grain from mice? And you can, like, pet me and stuff? Sure, why not? Let's do it.
Sure. I'll help keep you alive if you get rid of some of these mice.
Yeah, that's how it started.
I might even give you some food if you
You can even sleep in the barn. Like, totally fine.
Yeah, why not?
Ta-da. And they say
Domestication.
And they say dogs are man's best friend.
Bullshit.
Well, after all of this, Tevildo was determined to hunt down Beren, Lúthien, and Huan. But, since all the lands around
Angamandi
were dangerous, Huan led Beren and Lúthien far away from there. They're just like, they're going to get out.
Yeah, they're like, we're just getting away from here. And so after this, after they get out of there, there's a while where Beren and Lúthien and Huan, they all just kind of lived together in the wild, just with some of Huan's other hounds and just living life away from evil. And Beren loved it. He had a really great time living out in the wild, but Lúthien obviously missed her family.
Mm-hmm. Lúthien, she told Beren and Huan that she needed to return home, obviously. She at least got to go have a conversation with her dad.
Right.
Gotta let her know I'm okay.
Beren told her that he could never show his face in Artenor again unless he had a Silmaril with him.
So after this, Lúthien then goes and consults Huan about what to do because she says she needs to go home. Beren says he can't go back to her home without a Silmaril. How are we going to move forward here? So Huan did not see any hope in a quest to Angamandi for a Silmaril, and he wouldn't agree to go there with them either to help because that's a nasty place. So instead, Lúthien requested Huan give her the corpse of the cat Oikoroi that he had killed.
Hell yeah.
So that she could use it to disguise Beren.
Some Ed Gein shit.
I also want to point out one of the cool differences here is that Huan speaks freely.
Yes, it's not one of those things he'll speak 3 times.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
He's just a talking dog.
Yeah, he just talks.
Talking, plotting, like conversating, all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did plot, didn't he? He really came up with that plot to get to Vildo.
Oh, yeah. It was all his plan.
Conniving dog.
Conniving dog.
So we've got a excerpt here from The Tale of Tinúviel, read by Trevor.
Now doth Tinúviel put forth her skill and fairy magic, and she sows Beren into this fell, and makes him to the likeness of a great cat. And she teaches him how to sit and sprawl, to step and bound and trot in the semblance of a cat, till Huan's very whiskers bristled at the sight, and thereat Beren and Tinúviel laughed. Never, however, could Beren learn to screech or wail or to purr like any cat that ever walked, nor could Tinúviel awaken a glow in the dead eyes of the catskin. But we must put up with that, she said, and thou hast the air of very noble cat, if thou but hold thy tongue.
So after disguising Beren in the cat fell, both Beren and Lúthien make their way up to Angamandi, and once they get there, they meet the door guard, the enormous wolf, Karkaras Knifefang, the greatest wolf to ever live. They were very much surprised and terrified to see him.
Yeah, Lúthien told Karkaras that she had come to see Melko, and that the great cat escorting her was a Thane of Tevildo.
Yeah, they're trying to pass them off.
Yeah.
Pass themselves off.
This is like that part in Star Wars, remember? Fly casual.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, fly casual.
Karkaras definitely did not trust Lúthien, though, and he got closer, like a dog would, get a good sniff. But Lúthien used her magic cloak, and she did a dance right then and there, put him to sleep before he could even sniff. Like, that was it.
Yeah, before he could make heads or tails of what's going on, she just put him out. She's like, we're not dealing with this. So then Beren and Lúthien, they enter Angamandi, and they descended into Melko's throne room.
Right to the heart of the beast there. Yeah.
Heart of the,
Seems like it's a pretty easy place to get access to.
Apparently. So in the throne room, Beren passed perfectly for one of Tevildo's cats because he didn't speak. He just walked the walk, didn't try to talk the talk. And Beren goes and lays right down under the throne of Melko.
Then Melko spotted Lúthien and asked respectfully, "What the fuck are you doing here?"
Respectfully. Sure, Melkor was very respectful.
Right. It was quite obvious that she did not belong. Stuck out like a sore thumb.
Right. She's not in disguise, remember? She's just
No.
a very, very fair elf.
Yeah.
Just hanging out.
She's got her cool cloak, but like...
So Lúthien told Melko that she was the daughter of Tinúviel, whom Melko hated. You know, she wasn't going to even try to lie to him. I think she knew that wasn't going to fly. But she said that she thought that her father was overbearing, so she ran away and wished to serve Melko and entertain him with her dancing.
Of course, Melko doesn't need any of that.
Yeah, he's like, it's not really for me.
Right. Doesn't really need that kind of entertainment.
Does it look like anybody around here enjoys dancing?
What do they do for fun in Angband?
Oh, my
Angamandi?
God. It's
Angamandi. Yeah. Angamandi.
Pizza is what they
Yeah,
do.
they make a pizza
They
pies.
make the pizza pies in Man, they got those wood fire stoves going all night
Yeah.
and day in Angamandi making them pizza pies.
Mm-hmm. Pizza pie, spaghetti. Yeah.
But, so anyway, Melko, he doesn't need any kind of this sort of entertainment, but he lets her go ahead and demonstrate for him anyway. Clearly, he's pondering some evil plan or thought while she dances around fluttering.
But it was too late. She put them all to sleep.
Yeah, you let her start dancing, it's already too late.
That's what happens, yeah. But Melko, he didn't go to sleep, but he was teetering. He was entranced.
Yeah, he was fixed. He was definitely zoned in on her.
Tunnel vision, probably.
Yeah. So Tinúviel, she starts to re-up, and she begins to sing a song that her mother had taught her. Yeah, so this song it's way back in the gardens of Lúthien, taught by her mother, right? And it would be sung when, quote, the tree of gold had waned and Silpian was gleaming. Silpian, of course, is a new name, or old name rather, for Telperion.
Yeah, the silver tree.
Silver tree.
I don't know why he didn't name the gold tree here, but named the silver tree, but it's whatever.
Whatever.
So, at this point, this song was so strong and magical that Melko falls asleep. And this is when he falls off his throne onto the floor. And
This guy's probably pretty big, too, right?
Yes, he's huge.
Yeah. It says, in the Silmarillion version at least, it says it's like a mountain falling.
Yeah,
to
like
the
a
earth.
hill, like a sliding hill.
Sliding hill, yeah. I think that's what the euphemism they use.
It's got to be a painful landing.
Yeah, yeah.
So Beren takes off his disguise, and he uses the knife that he took from Tevildo's kitchen to pry a Silmaril from Melko's crown. But right as he gets that Silmaril loose, he also loses his grip on the knife. It snaps very loudly, and Tinúviel muffles a cry.
Obviously not a Ginsu knife.
No,
remember those Japanese knives that could like cut through a hammer or whatever from the 90s?
Yeah.
Right?
No, this must have been just a cheap knife, I guess.
Fuck.
But it caused the whole throne room to stir. And yeah, apparently it snapped very loudly because it's just the sound of it snapping that caused them to stir.
I mean, Melko's fall didn't wake anybody, but
That did,
with
apparently.
the snapping of the knife. All right.
But at this point, yeah, they ran. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Trevor. I can see. That's probably why he rewrites a little bit. So they book it out of there.
Yeah, but at the gates, Karkaros, he's awake and waiting for them. And Beren, he steps in front of Tinúviel, yeah, and he holds up a Silmaril.
Rookie move.
Yeah, get back.
Get back.
Back, beast.
And this is when Karkaros bites off his hand with the Silmaril still in it.
Why
and
not?
This is when Karkaros then goes crazy and he runs off in a mad rage. And this is also when Beren becomes known as Ermabweb or Elmavotier.
And that, of course, means one-handed in Sindarin and Quenya, respectively. Erkamian is the word they end up settling on for that in the
Silmarillion, yeah.
Which also means one-handed, I believe.
Well, Lúthien, being awesome, she cleans Beren's wound with her tears. Freaking tears, man. And
That'd be salty. Wouldn't that sting a little bit?
Yeah, you'd think it's a pretty... I mean, humans' tears are like saline. They're not like...
Yeah, it's like saline.
Oh, yeah,
it's
no,
not
you're right.
super
It's probably
salty.
the perfect amount of...
Perfect healing
Yeah.
juice.
Okay,
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Blood might even be saltier than that. I don't even know.
No, you're right. Cleaning things with saline solution is actually a very good thing to do, so I
Yeah.
can see why that would work. Okay.
Well,
All
yeah.
right, good job.
Standing up to science yet
Yeah.
again. Tolkien Legendarian.
Standing
Once again.
the magical Tolkien
Yeah.
legendary.
One of the most scientifically accurate Tolkien Legendarian or fantasy legendarians.
Well, these fancy tears, they stopped the wound from bleeding, and they stopped it from hurting.
Nice.
Magical
And
tears.
yeah.
Holy shit.
Dude,
You will
that's-
feel no pain.
What if that's because Lúthien was super zooted on Oxy all the time? So her tears were like painkillers? That'd be
It turns
cool.
out that the kingdom of Artenor wasn't actually magical. Everyone in Artenor thought it was magical because they
were
grew a
zooted.
lot of poppies,
Yeah, they
poppy
grew-
flowers,
Yep.
and everybody
Oh.
was high all the time on poppy flowers.
There you go.
But there you go. There's some Tolkieneering.
That is some great token.
Everyone in Doria was high. There was no magic involved.
None at all.
So they run south toward Lúthien's home of Artenor. Melko sends orcs and the Thanes of Tevildo to track him, because, what are cats good for?
Right.
But Huon and a band of hounds work their way through the forest, killing any orcs or Thanes of Tevildo that they found.
Yeah,
And-
good boys.
Yeah, they're good at their job, too.
Yeah, they are. Jeez.
Efficient. When Huon found Beren and Lúthien, he allowed Lúthien to ride on his back and asked Beren to run as fast as he could alongside of him.
Fuck you, buddy. Here we
Oh,
go.
man. Just keep up. Yeah.
Hold on. You are missing a hand. So
Yeah.
you need rest to heal and whatnot, but no, you're
I
gonna...
hope you're not tired from running because you're about to have to run real fast now. Well, but regardless, together they had many encounters with evil things and wandering orcs on their way back, but they did make it back to Tinúvil's kingdom safely. And when they entered the circle of Gwendolen's magic, the hunt for them completely fell away and they were safe.
Nice.
Their scent it's gone.
Gwendolyn's magic fence is fucking cool, obviously. The Girdle of Melian. One of my favorite things about First Age.
The Girdle of Melian is pretty
I
cool.
think it's just super cool.
I would choose to live there if I were allowed, but
Yes.
I'm a mortal man and I'm not.
Right. Yeah, they don't like our kind there, as it were.
Yeah, they don't have any room for all the graveyards they need for us.
Right. Yeah. That's why they don't like it. They don't want people there. Is they don't want to take up their precious real estate with their corpses. That's capitalist as fuck. Oh my god.
Well, they finally had some time, and they stopped to relax, safe in the woods of Artenor. And this is when Beren, he takes a moment and he tells Lúthien that she should continue home, but also that he could not go back there with her because he still does not have a Silmaril to present.
Right. Still didn't fulfill. I mean, he technically fulfilled the objective, but
Right, he just, yeah, tricky.
Well, he
Got it in
decides-
his hand, he just doesn't have that hand anymore.
exactly. He doesn't have possession of the hand. That's the key. you know?
In possession is 9/10 law.
Right. Yeah.
So Beren decided that he would ultimately live his days out in the woods by himself. He's like, you go on without me.
As we all decided as a kid one time, right? That you're just gonna I will live. My parents pissed me off, so I will go live in the woods.
Oh, I had that moment one
Yeah.
time. Dude,
Yeah, I
I
did
remember
that
I was so
multiple
pissed
times.
off one time, and I even packed up a little backpack full of candy and snacks
Mm-hmm.
and a bottle of soda, not even water or anything. And I was
Yeah.
literally about to walk out the door, and I stopped, and I realized that we lived out in the middle of nowhere,
That you die.
and I would die.
Yeah. That's
and
what
that's
keeps
when
you
I was
there.
it occurred to me I would be sleeping under a tree tonight, and I was like,
Right.
you know what? Never mind.
Whatever. I guess growing up in a super religious fascist household, it's better than dying under a tree. I
Then
think.
dying after one night of exposure.
exposure to the elements. Yeah. Fun times.
Yeah, living in the woods wasn't a great idea for me as a teen, and Lúthien didn't think it was a great idea for Beren either. So
I mean,
As an
Beren,
adult, yeah.
Beren's father was a forester. I mean, he's probably just trying to take after the old man.
I suppose, I guess he's probably a little more well-equipped than I was as a child. But
Right. Yeah.
Lúthien ultimately convinces Beren to come back with her anyway, saying that her father would be happy to just see them both alive at this point. Don't
Right.
make a big deal of it. Well, it'll be okay. Lúthien also asked Huon to come back with him as well, so that he could be rewarded for all of his help getting them through, their trials and tribulations so
Yeah.
far.
He's been a good boy.
He has been a good. They wouldn't have made it that far without him, for sure.
No. Yeah, when they arrive in Tinúvil's halls, they notice that things were borderline chaotic.
Yeah, not just not good. They were very bad.
Yeah, they ask one of the elves. I love that it must have been just people running in circles. They grab the first person that comes near them.
What is going on?
What is going on? And they say that the elf told them that since Tinúviel left, bad things have been happening, and they're including but not limited to.
The king was distraught by her disappearance, and he was just not vigilant at his duties at all. He was just like a derelict king.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were war with Melko's servants on the northern and eastern borders.
Two-front war.
Two-front war. America knows that those always go really well, right?
The queen no longer smiled, but just sat aloof, and her protective magic was weak, which is, particularly bad for the realm as a whole.
Right, especially with a two-front war going on.
Yeah.
Also, Daeron had completely disappeared from the kingdom.
Yeah,
so
he fucked off altogether.
His magic music and they were gone forever. He had disappeared.
Yeah, I'm
trying to look for Tinúviel.
Yeah, I'm sure he hasn't dropped an album in quite some time at this point.
Well, and this is a never to be found again type of scenario too, right?
Right, yeah, he disappeared.
And now, of course, there's a great gray wolf that's been rampaging through the woods, killing people and animals at will.
Right, like, there's just not enough terrible things going on right now. Like, Jesus Christ. So
it's a good thing they can't get the plague.
Naturally, Tinúviel was distraught by the loss of Daeron, her brother, and the terrible fortune in general of her people, because this was still her kingdom.
She probably felt a little responsible.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And so when they went before the king and the queen, both the king and the queen were overjoyed to see Lúthien alive.
Yeah, but Tinúviel is, he's still critical towards Beren, asking whether or not he brought that Silmaril, like Beren thought would happen, and he blames him for Lúthien's disappearance. Like he knew that was going to happen.
Yeah. So Thingol / Tinúviel, he's talking shit about Beren, right? And then Beren says, I have a Silmaril in my hand even now, but he could not show it because, quote, for my hand is not here, end quote. So his hand is clutching the jewel. It's just, through technicality, it's not there right now.
They're still entangled, but quantum entangled, but...
Yes, yeah, exactly.
My hand's in the shop right now. I just don't have it at the moment.
They didn't have a loaner hand to give me for the weekend.
And this is when Beren shows Tinúviel his stump hand, his little stump arm.
His stump hand.
And at that, Tinúvil's mood is softened, and he asks Beren and Tinúviel to tell him the story, tell him everything that happened.
Yeah, after listening to the whole tale, he apologizes and begs Beren to never again leave his halls or Tinúvil's side. Like, be my son, please.
Be my son. Yeah, clearly this guy is the most well-suited to protect Tinúviel.
Right.
If they were able to get in and out of Angband alive.
Yeah, he's pretty badass. Let's keep this guy around.
But Beren said that he'd still have to get that Silmaril, because he promised. It's his honor, pride, whatever you want.
Right.
He's got to get it. Beren then revealed that this the great wolf that was ravaging the land was actually Carcharos. Like, hey, convenient. That's actually the dude I need to see, who was driven mad after swallowing that Silmaril.
Yes, of course.
His insides just, probably on fire.
Burning up.
Mm-hmm.
Beren consulted Huan about attempting to hunt Carcharos.
Captain of dogs.
Exactly.
Strategy.
Like, who else would you consult?
Anyone to consult on hunting? Yeah, definitely want to check in with Huan.
Huan you gonna call?
The clear authority on
Huan you gonna call?
Yeah. That's hilarious. Oh, fun.
So, in the end, Tinúviel decided to lead the hunt himself. The king himself would lead the hunt for the wolf, along with Beren and Huan, as well as Mablung the Heavy-Handed, who was chief of the king's thanes.
We love Mablung the Heavy-Handed.
Mablung.
Yeah.
It makes me happy to see that he's a longtime character. Like, his character hasn't changed at all. Really.
No.
Some things stay the same.
Yeah,
like Mablung the Heavy-Handed.
Well, they found the trail of Carcharos along the river outside the king's castle.
This would be the river that we know as Galdwin, but I don't know if it actually has that name at this point in time. The tale might be a little too early for that river name yet, but it is that river.
Mm-hmm.
And they follow it all day.
All day. And the first night, they made camp along the river. Smart idea. And they took turns watching while each other slept.
Conveniently on Beren's turn, though, Carcharos attacks.
Of course. Wouldn't you love to be that asshole? Like, oh, I have to wake everybody up, otherwise we'll die. Like, it had to be under my watch.
I guess I'll sound the horn.
I'll never hear the end of this. Especially if it turns out to be a false alarm. Then you're a dumbass.
Then you're literally the boy who cried wolf.
Yeah, and then everyone hates you.
Literally.
But yes, we have a quote from the Tale of Tinúviel here that Joel is going to read about this.
Suddenly, on Beren's watch, a sound of great terror leapt up from far away, a howling as of 70 maddened wolves. Then, lo, the brush cracks and saplings snap as the terror draweth near, and Beren knows that Carcharos is upon them. Scarce had he time to rouse the others, and they were but just sprung up and half awake, when a great form loomed in the wavering moonlight, filtering there, and it was fleeing like one mad, and its course was bent toward the river. Thereat Huon gave tongue, and straightway the beast swerved aside towards them, and foam was dripping from his jaws, and a red light shining from his eyes, and his face was marred with mingled terror and with wrath. No sooner did he leave the trees than Huon rushed upon him fearless of heart, but he, with a mighty leap, sprang right over that great dog, for all his fury was kindled suddenly against Beren, whom he recognized as he stood behind, and to his dark mind it seemed that there was the cause of all his agony.
Yeah, Beren actually shanks Karkaroth in the throat with a spear right as the wolf jumped to attack him. Just comes in underneath.
Quick, effective. And King Tinwin also stabbed the wolf in the heart with the spear.
1, 2.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, at the same time, Beren was crushed beneath the weight of this monstrously huge wolf.
Oof.
We've got a quick excerpt here, again from the Tale of Tinúviel, read by Danny.
Then Beren thrust swiftly upward with a spear into his throat, and Huon leapt again, and had him by a hind leg, and Karkaroth fell like a stone, for at that same moment the king's spear found his heart, and his evil spirit gushed forth, and sped howling faintly as it fared over the dark hills to Mandos. But Beren lay under him, crushed beneath his weight. Now they roll back that carcass, and fall to cutting it open, but Huon licks Beren's face, whence blood is flowing.
Mortally wounded.
Yeah.
I love that, and his evil spirit gushed forth.
Yeah, I love that.
Like, to the halls of Mandos, because definitely it gives you both the image of, like, a crazy spirit thing, demon exorcised out of the body, but also the shitload of blood that's probably spraying out, too.
Yeah.
Right.
It's pretty gruesome, I would say, for Tolkien stuff.
It is a little bit gruesome, you're right.
It is a little gruesome. So at this point, things get a little more gruesome as Mablum cuts open Karkaroth to find that all of his organs have been burned up as if something inside him had been smoldering. So Mablung hands the king the Silmaril that he had cut out of the wolf, but King Tinwin vows to never touch the Silmaril unless it is given to him by Beren. And at this point, Huon pipes in and shames both Mablung and the king for essentially making such a big deal over the Silmaril while Beren is over here literally dying.
Yeah, how could they? How could they? We have another excerpt from Tale of Tinúviel. You'll hear a little short one read by Trev.
Behold, O king! But Tinwin said, Nay, never will I handle it, save only if Beren give it to me. But Huon said, And that seems likely never to be, unless he tend him swiftly, for methinks he is hurt sorely. And Mablung and the king were ashamed.
As they fucking should be.
Yeah, as you should be, yeah.
Your homie's laying there,
You're over
bleeding
here
out,
hanging out, playing with this jewel.
playing with the jewel. What the fuck?
So Beren is mortally wounded, and he did not speak or open his eyes after this.
Yeah, Mablung and the king made a gurney out of branches, and they carried Beren back to the halls of the king.
Tinúviel cried, of course, when she saw Beren.
Yeah, not happy.
But Beren actually, he woke, and he handed the Silmaril to the king, so the king got his way, whatever, and proclaimed his, and Beren proclaimed his love for Tinúviel, and then he just died.
Straight up. Gave up the ghost.
Here's your
Tragic.
stupid gem. I love you. Dead.
Goodbye.
Peace out. Yeah. And then Tinúviel straight up followed him. Died of grief. And
Right then and there.
just right there. Not having it. Left. Died of grief. She followed Beren to the halls of Mandos. All the way over there.
And in the halls of Mandos, Mandos is smitten by her beauty, and just her beauty. She doesn't sing or dance or nothing. He's smitten by her beauty, and he allows her to lead Beren back to the living world. But they would be mortal, like men. And after returning to the living world, Beren and Lúthien, they lived together in the northern woods, and they were often seen dancing happily together.
So hold on, I didn't realize in this version that he just looks at her and is like,
Yes, and also in this version,
You win.
Mandos has the authority to do this. In the other versions, he has to get an okay from Mando.
Manwë, of course.
yeah, Manwë has the ability to send people back to life from death, but Mandos apparently doesn't in the later tales. In this version, he does. He's in this version, he's like Hades. He's just like, he's the guy.
It is said that they became mighty fairies, known as Cuilarthon, right? The dead that live again. And they went on to have many more great adventures, apparently.
Yeah, it's kind of a happily forever after sort of ending.
Yeah.
Mighty fairies.
Which mighty fairies.
It's like if they came back and they were mortal, but like...
Yeah, I'm not sure quite how he levels those two things.
Right. I mean, because they refer to the elves as fairies, right? That's what Tinúviel was anyway, so they...
Exactly, so they were still fairies, but they were mortal fairies, I guess. Like
Weird.
Men. It
doesn't really make sense with the lore. But
I can see why some of these details were changed over time.
Right, they had to be hammered out and made more consistent, of course, right?
But that is the end of the tale, as it were, and it is a very fun, magical tale.
Yeah, Tale of Tinúviel, definitely 5 out of 5 stars. Recommended. Check it out.
Dig it. Love it.
Yeah, let's get into some final thoughts on Tale of Tinúviel, guys. It's really so much fun delving into these early versions of the tale, especially the one here in the Beren and Lúthien and History of Middle Earth series. Sometimes it's crazy how all these early unrelated tales eventually develop into a complex legendarium that we love and know today.
Yeah, it's really interesting how some of the details are also more fleshed out in the original tales, and how some details get a little more fleshed out later. Yeah,
different. One of the main ones we were talking about when we were writing this section was how she grows her hair. With the singing and the different bowls and stuff. That's super drawn out in this version. But in the Silmarillion, it's just mentioned in passing, essentially.
Yeah, I kind of wish there was I know the Silmarillion version is what Christopher pieced together as what he believes should be the canon version of the tale, but I really wish there was a version of the tale pieced together with all of the longest versions of each part of the tale kind of put together.
Sure.
The extended cut?
The extended cut, exactly.
That's what you should do. That should be your life's work, the Noterman cut. You should make
the Noterman cut.
Yeah.
Some names might have to be updated to whatever the current canon names are, but it would be cool.
Yeah.
That's what I'll work on. That's my life's work.
Yeah.
From here on out.
Agreed.
I'm quitting the podcast. This is I have a new mission.
This is goodbye. You were supposed to make a mechanical shark for me in high school.
That was years ago.
In high school, I commissioned. It was fun. We have this ongoing joke that we were going to make a Jaws the musical, but the only thing that we never wrote the musical, but Joel had to make the shark first.
Yeah, it was my task to make the shark.
And then we would write the musical. So we're still waiting on that shark 15 years later.
We'll get there.
Just give to the Patreon, and if you want to hear Jaws the musical happen, give to the Patreon.
Yeah, maybe we'll get that mechanical shark.
Yeah,
we'll get a Jaws tier on there specifically for that.
New tier.
Yeah, another thing that's really fun to notice when you're going back over some of these earlier tales is how the languages have evolved from one version to the next. How names changed and things develop.
Yeah, it's cool because it's clearly an etymology thing. You can tell a lot of the ones that are similar sounding, it's working. It's working any kind of language. It's fun.
And Angamandi.
Angamandi, yeah.
Angamandi.
Or just like Tevildo. I feel like that's a pretty unique name compared to a lot of other names we see, especially for villains.
Yeah. It's a cool villain name.
Tinwillant to Thingol, that's pretty different. It's not quite as different as Tevildo to Sauron to Thu we haven't even spoken about Thu yet. That's for next episode.
Thu.
We'll get to Thu next episode.
Oh, just wait, guys. You're gonna wish you never knew any of this shit about Beren and Lúthien. You know what I mean? You're going to know everything. But we also, another thing about this version that we talked about today, we really loved how much more fairy tale like it is in the earlier versions compared to the later versions, right?
Yeah.
So this version's got talking cats, talking dogs, magic hair spells, fairies, gnomes.
Yeah, just crazy names like Tinwillant and Gwendoling and Oikoroi and
Super
Meowle.
Meowle, yeah.
And Tin Fang Warble. How could I forget about Tin Fang Warble? Yeah. That's probably one of my favorite names to come out of this whole everything is Tin Fang Warble, the crazy, really unidentified minstrel. You just get his name.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
But that's about all we've got for you guys today for the Tale of Tinúviel, the very first version of the Beren and Lúthien to exist. We hope you enjoyed it. Next week, we're going to be on episode 104, where we'll be covering Beren and Lúthien, Part 4, our final episode from this series on Beren and Lúthien. And that'll be about how the story developed from what we just covered today to what we know it to be.
Yeah. Stay tuned, guys. It's going to be a nerdy fucking time. I don't know how else to put it. It's going to be so much fun. But yes, thanks for listening to KOT Podcasts. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We're everywhere. Stay up to date on new episodes. And please rate or review us at one of those places. We'd really, really love that. Also, check out our new website. Super simple, keepontolkien.com. We've been putting a lot of work into that to make it a really cool thing, a really cool hub for all things KOT. So anything you need, your needs will be met by that website, hopefully. If not, let us know and it will be.
Oh, yeah. We're pretty sure you can find just about everything KOT at keepontolkien.com. But a big thank you to our patrons. You guys help us so much. Subscribe on Patreon to help support us. Subscribing can also unlock some exclusive Patreon content, so go ahead and check that out. That's patreon.com/KOT podcast. And if one-time private donations are more your speed versus, a monthly subscription, that's absolutely okay. We have other payment services. Just contact us on your favorite social media. We appreciate anything you're willing to give.
Lastly, don't forget to follow us on social media. We are also everywhere there. But the best place to find us and get in touch with us is on our Discord. We'll have a link in the description. We're also on TikTok at keep_on_Tolkien_podcast. We're on Facebook at official Keep On Tolkien, and Instagram at Keep On Tolkien Podcast. We also have a merch store. You can get some cool KOT-themed merch. That's keep-on-tolkien-podcast.tmail.com, which is an absolute mouthful. So if you just go to keepontolkien.com.
So much easier.
Yes.
So much easier.
So much easier.
So much easier.
You can find everything there. All of the things we just mentioned, there's links to all of it.
All of it. But yes, that's all from us today, guys. I am Danny J.
And I am Joel N.
I'm Trevor D.
And together, we like to call ourselves...
Keep on Tolkien.
Aure and Tuluva. I was trying to get an echo in the new room. New space.